Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, and whatever part of the world you may be in. This is Dr. Don with a daily LightPoint. Kick it off a new week. And this week, I want to focus on a theme that I'm calling the fallacies of leadership. The fallacies of leadership. Those things that are misrepresenting and or are misnomers, or those things that we misperceive in the context of how we lead in our lives, personally and professionally. I want to get a bit more disruptive this week around those things that we often may even find comfort in, but frankly are truly fallacies in the context of reality. I want to start today off with the premise: don't mistake movement for progress. Let me say that again. Don't mistake movement for progress. I want you to really process that message because I think it's essential. Many organizations, many individuals will evaluate movement and attach it to this perception of progress in their lives, personally or professionally. When in fact, if you think about the context of that, if I'm seeking to get to a destination, I could be running in place, a lot of movement, a lot of energy, and go nowhere. Imagine the impact of that. How often in our lives do we find ourselves running in place? We have all the will, we have all the desire to get to a destination, but we somehow don't make progress. But we convince ourselves because of the movement, we're doing all that we can. And then in the context of running in place, then we're losing energy over time. We become exhausted, burned out. Don't mistake movement for progress. How do we ensure that the efforts that we're applying, the movement that we're measuring, is in alignment with how we validate that we're getting to the destination that we desire? Now, that requires a few different things. Let's talk about it. First thing it requires is a measure of current state. Where am I today against where do I want to be? Which means I also need to have a vision for where I want to be. Then I need to have a plan, a map. How do I map my journey, and how do I place mile markers, milestones, buoys along the way to validate that I'm making the progress necessary to get me to my ultimate destination? If I have a vision that I want to get somewhere, I have all the energy and the will and the desire to get to that destination, but I never really map out my path. Sometimes running in place feels great because I'm doing something, but I have no barometer of directionally what this means, where I'm headed. And I have to have those things in place. It doesn't matter where I'm setting out on my journey. It doesn't matter where I intend to go. If I want to lose weight, have I set out a plan of action? Have I anticipated the roadblocks and the barriers? Do I understand the milestones I'm trying to hit? Month 1, 1 pound. Month 2, 2 pounds. Month 3, 3.5 pounds. Am I measuring myself against that? And guess what? The last piece of that is then, how do I hold myself accountable to the progress I'm making? Sometimes that can be achieved personally. Sometimes we need other individuals along the way. If you don't have those four pillars, understanding of current state, a vision for where you want to head, a map to understand the path you desire to travel to get there, and some means of accountability around or those checkpoints along the way. If I don't have those things in place, it's very difficult for me to distinguish movement from progress. So I encourage you, as you think about the things in your life, whether it's personal or professional, where you're looking to make progress, and you feel like you're doing a lot of stuff, you're making a lot of movement, be honest with yourself and say, do I have these pillars in place and am I actually making progress? That's a harder conversation to have, but an important one. Tune in this week as we continue to unpack the fallacies of leadership. I love this topic because sometimes we convince ourselves of things to make ourselves feel more content in our circumstances when in fact it's contrary to the ultimate objective. So let's get after it. Thanks for tuning in to another Daily Light Point. We're leaders, real talk, real time.